Hello and Happy New Year. I am so excited, as always, to be here. In fact, I wore my sparkly art shirt just for all of you. Welcome to Maker Monday. Cindy Ingram, the creator and founder of Art Class Curator, shares how art connects us with the human spirit. What a perfect day to introduce our partnership with Art Class Curator and offering art curriculum for elementary and high school today of all days, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I continue to be in awe of how art educators create a safe environment for their students to learn, to grow, and to use their voice, and to respect others' voices. The very thing that Dr. King stood for. And I'm always so proud of art educators, and this past year more than ever. I'm Kris Bakke. I'm the Customer Engagement Manager at Nasco Education, and it is an honor to have Cindy Ingram with me to give you a full view of each of these curriculums. Welcome, Cindy.
Hello, thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. So before I totally turn over the stage to you, I'll just give you a couple things to look for. On the side panel of your screen, you should have a menu bar or a control panel. And in that, there's a spot for questions. Absolutely type your questions in. We are going to spend some time answering as many of those questions as we can. And if we run a little bit late, we will stop to let those of you who need to be done at 4 off the hook, and then we'll continue, and I'll speak a little bit more to that at the time. There is also a handout sharing who your regional account manager is. And the PowerPoint won't be available, but that's because if you want more after this, contact us and we will make sure to get you all the information. So with that, let's get started. And Cindy, I will let you take over the stage and share these amazing curriculum with us.
Okay, so I am going to load up my presentation, and of course it's giving me an error, but I'm going to fix that.
That's because technology does these things, and I tell you all that I feel like I'm the common denominator there because technology legit hates me, but that's okay because we can always overcome.
Yes, it's making me restart my PowerPoint presentation, so just a second. So anyway, while I try to do that, I'm going to talk at the same time so you don't have to watch me fumble around with technology. So my name is Cindy Ingram, and I am the owner and creator of Art Class Curator, and that is a website since I started in 2014, and it is dedicated to helping art teachers connect with works of art and help their students connect with works of art. Sorry, I think I figured it out. Do you see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yay, okay, got it. And I am a former museum educator. I fell in love with art as a young child. I wanted to be a Disney animator. I was obsessed with making art until I discovered art history and I got to see real art for the first time. And it just blew my mind. And it blew my mind that people get to be around art in their lives every day, like go to their job, the guards at the museums, the tour guides, the people at the ticket counter. I was like, these people get to come here every single day. And it was really thrilling to me to see that and to experience that. I grew up in a small town and we didn't have a museum, so I didn't experience that until I was a junior in high school. And from there, I just dove into experiencing as much art as I can through travel. I got my degree in art history and have dedicated basically my whole life to exploring works of art. So as I did this, as I started to teach in a museum, I realized that, and then I went into the classroom, I realized that the way I taught in the museum, really engaging conversations with works of art, engaging activities with works of art, I got into the classroom and I found resources to be really hard to find for that type of teaching. You could find a lot about creating art, project ideas and things like that. But when it came to teaching my students through works of art, there was nothing. So eventually I decided I would just create the thing that I always wanted as a teacher. And so that is how Art Class Curator was born back in 2014. We started as a blog, and I just put a bunch of random blog images here on the screen just to show you we have a really wide variety of types of blog posts, from lists of good artworks to teach about certain themes or topics. We have like civil rights art posts and different things, anything that can help you introduce more art to your students. And then we eventually formed our membership site. We have a new hybrid learning curriculum, and then our new brand new curriculum, which is what I'm going to show you today, is Art Class Curator Perspectives and World Mosaic, 2 full brand new curriculum. So I'm going to show you those today. But the reason why we created the curriculum the way that we did is that we know that students connecting with works of art has endless power. It connects you to not only everybody in the world, everybody makes something, and it helps you, someone who made something in Africa 500 years ago, and then you experience that, you get a taste of their life, you get to see into their lives, you get to see other people struggle, you get to empathize with other people and where they're at in their life, and it helps you realize we are all way more similar than we are different. It also helps you connect with yourself. So when I look at an artwork, it always depends on what is happening in my life at that time. If I look at it and I'm in a kind of a sad space, that artwork is going to teach me something about myself that I didn't realize. Or, I come back to that same artwork and I'm in a different emotional state, I'm going to get something different from it. So we can learn a lot about ourselves through works of art. And so when we created this curriculum, was our number one goal, is to make sure we have students exploring work from across time and across cultures. And so I'll show you a little bit more about that today. In addition to the empathy, the knowing yourself, introduction to art, fosters all of these things on this slide: higher order thinking, respect, connection, focus, curiosity, and wonder. And I also have that as a free download for you. If you'd like to download this poster, we have artclasscurator.com/poster. You can click that link and get that poster if you would like to hang it up in your classroom, a printable poster. Because art changes people and people change the world. And when we expose our students to works of art, they have that as part of them as they go forward in their lives. They have all those ideas, those voices, that the understanding of emotion, all of that creates good people in this world. So we always say, it's kind of hard to describe what I do, because art appreciation is sort of the most accepted term for the type of teaching that we do at Art Class Curator. But to me, it is way more than art appreciation. So we are trying to shift the phrase to art connection, because it's about connecting you, the student, with the art, you and the student, the students with each other about the art. All of these things are connected together. It's more than just looking at something and appreciating it, but really forming a personal relationship with that art object, and forming a personal relationship with the artwork that you make as well. So all of that just give you a little bit of a foundation on how this curriculum was built and for what purpose. So we have 2 brand new curriculums. We have an elementary curriculum, it is K through 5, and then we have a secondary Art 1 curriculum. So I'm going to go through the elementary curriculum first. I'm going to show you about how to do it. And I didn't want this to be just me talking about this curriculum, but I wanted you to be able to get some stuff out of it that you could take into your classroom too. So we have some ideas on here and some ways of engaging with art, ways of reflecting about your art experience, and different things that you can take and use in your classroom right away. And then, of course, if you want all of this, you can talk to your district about getting the World Mosaic curriculum for you. So World Mosaic is a K through 5 curriculum. And when I say curriculum, I mean it is a full, like, unit by unit, year. You've got 7 units for each grade. You have all grades kinder through 5th. And so that is a total of 42 total units. And so what we've done here is we've done it in an Art Around the World structure. So in every grade, you have 7 units for that grade, and then each of those is one of the continents. And then you notice there are actually, there's 6 continents. We added Middle East as its own because we felt like Middle East often kind of got lost in the shuffle, and we really wanted to make sure that that part of the world was represented. So we have Africa, South America, North America, Asia, Europe, Oceania, and then we have the Middle East as well. I probably missed one in that. I should have counted as I talked. But as I'm talking and you have any questions, feel free, like Kris says, to type them into the chat and they will feed me the questions. I'll probably get through some of the main components of it, and then we'll open it up for some more questions as we go. So not only is it Art Around the World, but we wanted to make sure that we have cross-curricular connections. So there's writing in here, there's social studies, there's, you know, a lot of ways to connect to the other subjects. And then also social emotional skills, because we are very much in agreement with that being a buzzword right now in schools. Because me personally, as I grew up, I was a typical, like, I was your teacher pleaser. I was your straight A student. I was the teacher's pet. I was the one that always got like the citizenship awards first, you know, and I took great pride in that. I was very much an achiever as a kid. And then when I got out of school, I realized what was all of that for. and then I had to kind of relearn how to be a person, you know, how to have conversations with people, how to, you know, exist in the world socially and emotionally. So I think that if we add those into our lessons, we're going to, you know, create more functioning people as we as our students grow up. And I can speak from experience. That was kind of it was a hard transition into adulthood, coming from, you know, that sort of like really focused on school, really focused on academics, yet I didn't get a lot of that social emotional stuff. And then we also want to make sure that we're combining art connection and art making. So we want to make sure that the curriculum just create a project just for this.
Cindy. Cindy, it looks like maybe we've lost your.
And then they create a project that is related, not a copycat, but related. I wasn't sure if Kris was popping in there for a second. Might have just heard an echo of myself.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a glitch, and I think it's corrected itself.
Okay, good. Awesome. And so after they
so rewind a couple sentences ago.
That's okay. I had to remember what I said. Okay, and then I think I was talking about authentically combining art connection and art making, that it's not that we're making sure we're being thoughtful. We're not just creating, you know, you have a Van Gogh and then you create a copycat of a Van Gogh. You know, you look at sunflowers, then you paint some sunflowers, or you look at a Monet haystacks and then you paint some haystacks. You know, we want to make sure that we're authentically creating our art making, not as copycat, but as, you know, how can we get the student voice involved? How can we be inspired by, but not copy the Inker artwork for the lesson? So I'm going to show you just a taste of some of the artworks that are in the curriculum. I have a slide for each of our continents. And so you can see this isn't like a chronological art historical experience. So we're not going, okay, we're going to cover the history of Africa, and in kindergarten they do the very early, and then we're going to go chronologically. No, we decided to do, you know, just to give them a taste of everything that was available. So we have art from all over Africa, a lot of different types of art. You can see the media is varied. We have lots. And then here's our art from Asia. So we have, again, we have some famous ones in here, but I would say most of them are not what you categorize as famous, because there's so much art in the world. If we just focus on, you know, what everyone already knows, then we miss out on a lot of really amazing things. So you can see we have the terracotta warriors, but then we have some cool armor. We've got a peacock instrument from India. So a lot of different types of art, and it expands the students' understanding of what really is art. Europe, that's where we can get in some of our cool, colorful 3D stuff or 2D stuff. Then we have the Middle East presented here, and then North America. So it's looks like I think it's about half indigenous art versus American art. 3 of the 6 are USA. And then so you can see Oceania, South America. That's it. Okay, so you can see a really wide variety of works of art, and they're all really kind of, we like art that's really interesting, art that's going to get students to think about, you know, spark their curiosity. And so that's what we have there. And so each unit is based off of a individual work of art, and it has a lesson plan that has a discussion guide for that work of art, has information about the work of art. It doesn't have a whole lot of information because we really think the student should do most of the thinking, most of the discussion, and most of the like sharing of ideas about the artwork. We don't see a lot of value in, you know, doing a whole lecture on ancient Egyptian art for a first grade class. You know, you want to give them a taste of what there is, let them do a lot of cool creative thinking on their own, and then that will spark their curiosity to want to learn more as they get older. They're all connected to the national art standards. So all of the national art standards are covered in our lessons. And then we also have vocab words in there. We have your lesson sequence in that engage, create, reflect sequence. And then a lot of different learning activities for the works of art, and includes any worksheets that you might need. So I'm going to show you some examples of that here in a little bit as well. And then there is a artwork inspired project that have diverse media. And so we've even thought about this for you. So, you know, we're imagining you do all of Africa, you know, all of your grades are doing Africa. And so you can have your Africa bulletin board, you can show the artworks that all the different grades are covering in Africa, you can put those up on your wall. And then we've even thought about, you know, making sure that when you're doing Africa, you're not having 6 grade levels paint at the same time, because, you know, that will turn your classroom into a madhouse. But you want to have, like, you know, 2 classes painting, 2 doing sculpture, or 2 doing something else, so that there's still some overlap, so you don't have to plan supplies for 6 classes, but there's also not chaos. So we've got all of the media represented in your curriculum as well. And then we have a reflection activity, and I love the reflection activity, so I'll show you some examples of those here in a minute too. So I always start an art lesson with an artwork discussion. And I know a lot of teachers don't have as much experience learning how to discuss a work of art with students. You might know, like, the basic VTS strategies, but you're not exactly sure, or you're not confident doing that. So in the curriculum, we have provided training for you. There is a webinar recording how to talk about art with kids, so that, you know, you become comfortable and confident doing this, and you'll learn it's really a lot easier than a lot of people make it out to be. And then we also include discussion guides with each artwork that give you what questions that you want to ask. And then that webinar, the 4 steps to a fun, engaging art discussion, talk about things like how to move around the classroom, how to make eye contact, you know, that sort of thing. That's going to help, you know, really bridge that, make that discussion really exciting for the students. And then we have the PowerPoint that you would need to lead the art discussion, any worksheets that you would need, you know, it's all in there for you, ready to go. And these discussion questions, you know, you might see them as a small part of the lesson, but you really think about those discussion questions can get a lot of those amazing connections that we talked about. So, like, for example, I just pulled the discussion questions for this artwork on the screen. And you can see in this group of discussion questions, we have really open-ended prompts that give you a lot of chance for creativity. We have social emotional learning. So you can see here, one of the questions is to describe the emotions that you see on their faces. So you try to figure out what they're feeling. There's visual analysis. We're looking at, how the artist used line, how the artist organized the space, and how that adds to the meaning. And then we have cross-curricular connections. So we have, what do you think is going to happen next? So there's plot connections. There's, we have things where you write poetry about the artworks. There's a lot of connections to other subjects in here as well. And then we have personal connections. So in this artwork, it's the self-portrait of the artist hesitating between the arts of music and painting. She's kind of deciding which way to go. And at the time, music was a more acceptable path for women, but she really was wanting to be an artist, so she had to sort of choose between the two. And so one of these is representing music and one of these is representing art. And so we asked the students, what are two or things that you would be hesitating between? And then we have them sort of write about that. So they're making their own personal connections to the works of art. And then so we have discussion, and then we have engaging activities. And for every artwork in the curriculum, there is at least 2 to 4 different activities that you can do with it. So maybe it is writing a poem about the artwork. It is creating a word web. These are actual examples from the curriculum. I just sort of spot picked a bunch and put them on the slide. Playing a game of Would You Rather related to the artwork, going on a scavenger hunt looking for specific things in the artwork, kind of like Highlights magazine style, writing stories about and from the perspectives of characters in the artwork, putting your body into the pose of the artwork, completing the picture, having a little bit of the artwork and then you filling in the rest, the student filling in the rest, reading related books about the artwork, and we have book lists in there. So there's a lot of really fun activities that you can do with the artworks that are the students love, gives you something to really sink into with the artwork and allows that experience to be really exciting. And so we are imagining this to be like you do one day of the art connection stuff and then you do the rest of your days with the project. But you also could do, if you want to make sure they're making something every single day, you could do the art connection stuff, a little bit at the beginning of each class over the course of the whole unit. So it's really flexible in that way. It works with you. I know a lot of elementary teachers don't feel comfortable spending an entire class period without the students actually creating something, since you don't get to see them as much. So you can weave this together however you want. It's not very rigid, but it gives you sort of this basic structure. So here's an example of some of the worksheets that are in here. Anytime there's an activity, if at all you would need to print anything or have them write anything, we made a worksheet for it. So it's just ready to go, has the instructions, has everything that you need. So you can see there's poetry templates. There's one where they have to create the other half of the face just to practice symmetry. There's another one where I have to create a mirror image of something. So just practice the idea of creating a mirror image. Compare contrast worksheets, journal type worksheets. You can see down there at the bottom, what do you do when you feel anxious? So it's all things related to the artwork, related to the project that they're going to make, and sort of creates a bridge between the artwork and that project as well. So lots and lots of cool stuff in there. I think I had someone count today, there are 218 downloads in the Mosaic curriculum, World Mosaic curriculum. So there's a lot of stuff in there. So here's just an example unit. So we've got the anchor artwork was the sarcophagus, and we also have some slides of like cat mummies, and then they create their own paper mache cat, and then they can design it. And then they also then, as a reflection, can create a comic strip showing the 9 lives of their cat that they've made. So they're reflecting on it in kind of a fun, creative way as well. And here's an example of how these are tailored for your grade level. So this is a kinder activity, and all they have to do is write a question that they have for the artwork, and then they can draw designs on it as well. And then each one has a PowerPoint, has the artwork, it has a map, and then it has, some of them have other slides related to the topic. So if they're doing a project on radial design, it'll have some slides on radial design. We don't have a lot of slides with a lot of text on them because it's elementary. need to be distracting students with a bunch of text. So we just have, the visual aids for the things that you're going to need inside those PowerPoints. And isn't this artwork amazing? I love this one. Such a cool work of art. And then, so here are your different types of projects. So you can see we have a very wide variety of types of media. So we have foam block sculptures, holograph prints, felt pillows, radial design. This is only about 10, and there's 42 in there. But we have fiber arts, we have printmaking, we have sculpture, we have painting and drawing. A lot of really different types of works of art. And then when you're thinking about creating an art project that is related to a work of art, this is kind of how we did it. So this is some tips for you on how to connect your work of art with your project. So you can do it based on the big idea or the theme. So you maybe the theme of the artwork is loneliness, and then you create a project that is of when you felt lonely. That's not an example from this curriculum, which is the first thing I thought of. The function of it, so you've created something for the purpose of glorifying your ancestors, so then maybe the student does something to glorify their ancestors. Something about the story in the artwork, so maybe this one's a narrative painting, so then the student creates a narrative work of art based on something from their life. So you can see it's not a copy, it's just an inspiration, and then we can be inspired by a lot of different things. We can also be inspired by the media, so if it's I have some actual examples. I don't know why I'm trying to come up with examples from my head, but I have slides of examples too. And then also we can look at the elementary principle of art. So maybe in this particular artwork has a lot of movement, so then maybe we make an artwork with movement too as well. So here's just some examples. So this artwork has war on one side and peace on the other, and so they're creating an artwork by drawing two opposite things, and they do a lot of some activities on naming different opposites, and there's some like opposite games in there. And then this one is making a texture metal repoussé collage, and that is a word I never actually heard anyone say out loud, so I just realized just this moment that I might be saying that wrong. So, but I never was good at the French words as an art history major. It's probably good I didn't go get my master's in art history. I did art education instead. And then this is the map made of the currents from the Marshallese people from the Marshall Islands. And so then the students then make their own map using significant landmarks or places that they can name. So you see it's a really a wide variety of types of connections that you can make. This one shows movement and action, and so then the students make an artwork telling a story of an event that caused them a strong emotion. This one has a lot of patterns, so we have a symmetrical pattern print that they make in response to this one. I think this is my last example. This is the transformation mask. We have this one in the elementary and in the secondary curriculum. This is so cool, but it opens up to something else on the inside, sort of a transformation moment, and you can see the strings can open it up. And so they talk a lot about transformation, and then create a self-portrait that incorporates the idea of transformation. So you can see we have a really wide variety of types of projects, and then all of the lessons have reflection activities as well. And here's just some of the different ways the students can reflect on their learning and reflect on their projects. So you can have them pair together and have them guess about elements of each other's artwork. So if you're doing the opposite project and you have the students guess what the opposite pairs were that they did. We have a wearable artwork, so you can do a little fashion show. There's music connections in the reflections as well. Writing stories or legends about their artworks, sorting class artworks, playing visual analysis games with artworks. There's lots of really fun reflection activities that are tailored towards the specific artworks. And also some of the national art standards are met with that reflection component too, like the planning an exhibition and different things like that. So I was going to show it to you in Nasco Educate, and I'm wondering, Kris, if you would rather me, maybe at the very end, I can show you what it looks like all together. That sounds
sure. That would be fine.
So that's World Mosaic. It's a lot to include in a short time, but
Oh
do we
my
have any
gosh,
questions?
like that was like a power half hour. So I by all means, if you have any questions, absolutely type them into the question box, and we will work hard to answer them, whether they are now or we'll also have a little bit of question and answer at the end. And if it's towards the end, you might want to say, as it applies to elementary or high school, so that we know which one to speak to. But yeah, fantastic, Cindy. Like, one of the things that you said that just really, I love how art continues to connect to each other, is often that we are more similar than we are different. And that is something that Sandy Coleman, art educator and one of our Maker Monday featured guests who did the Community Circle project, also said. And the Community Circle project was featured in our blog this week, talking about things that you can do for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And so I just love how sometimes things just always come back and connect, and that's fantastic. So we don't have any questions yet on World Mosaic, and so we've got about a half an hour left, and so I know Perspectives is going to be equally as packed, so I'm going to let you go right into Perspectives as well.
Wonderful. Okay, so Perspectives was built in a kind of similar way to World Mosaic in terms of the same types. We have the engaging learning activities with the artworks, we have the engaging discussions, we have the projects that are related. But what we did in Perspectives is we sort of boosted up the art connection and the sort of exploring yourself and exploring your connection to your world and all of that. We boosted that up even more. So our secondary Art 1 curriculum is based on themes, and their themes are related to the individual student. And so we have art from all around the world, but it's also all art that was chosen because of the connection it has to the theme. So when I say secondary and when I say Art 1, what we were thinking about when we were creating this course is like a 9th grade intro to art course, your first course. And that means that this also would work for an 8th grade course. Like, those students could do the same types of things. You might kind of modify it down a little bit, but we're kind of thinking around that, 8th and high school level. And we do have plans for other grades too, but right now we've got Art 1. And so in Art 1, we do also empower with the cross-curricular connections, the social emotional learning, and around feature artworks. The Perspectives curriculum has 10 themes, and each theme has at least 2 anchor artworks, or like the main artworks that you study in the unit. And then we have other artworks listed. So if you, and then in the PowerPoints and activities, we might have some other artworks in there too. So I actually haven't counted to see how many individual artworks are in the Perspectives curriculum. It's a lot, because we do have a lot of activities where we show other artworks too. And then, so they're using these artworks to dive into the theme, dive into the content, explore the art, and then spark your creativity for your art project. And then our projects are very much inspired by the theme, and they're very much incorporating student voice and student point of view. And we also have, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but we also have choice-based options for all of the projects. So you can do pretty much this entire curriculum. You could structure it in a choice-based curriculum however you want, like that. The engaging activities could be different, art connection centers, or however you do it. And then the choice-based project, we give you a really open-ended prompt too, in addition to the more structured one, so that you can kind of pick and choose. Because we really feel like when it comes to creating curriculum for teachers, we know at Art Class Curator that teachers, you're creative beings. And one of the reasons you're here, and one of the reasons you're doing this, is you like the opportunity to create and creating lesson plans, creating learning experiences for your students is part of the joy of teaching. So we made sure that it is very flexible for the teacher, that you can pick and choose what you want to do. You can sub other artworks in and it still works out, you know, that we create a lot of flexibility, created an overall structure, created a really step-by-step process, but that it incorporates a lot of your own choices in there too. So we tried to create a really flexible option for you, and each of the units has tons of activities, because, you know, if you're anything like me, I don't like to be told what to do. So I like, you know, if you give me 5 activities, I'm, oh, I really like this one, I'm going to modify this one, you know. So we incorporated, some teachers like that can really find a home in this curriculum as well. We wanted to make sure of course we had art from across time and across cultures. We, you know, don't believe in just teaching art of the West and mostly white men from the West. We want to make sure that we're incorporating art from around the world and from different types of people. And then that we're also doing that social emotional learning, the critical thinking, and all of that. So we use in the curriculum what we call the I feel wheel. And I learned from Brene Brown that most people, when asked to name emotions, can really only name about 3: happy, sad, and mad. And to be an emotionally illiterate person, you need to know about 30, based on Brene Brown's research. But a lot of people don't have that vocabulary. They don't know the difference between being scared and being excited, because they feel the same. So you could be actually excited, but you just feel really terrified. You could be really nervous, like you're going to go into a webinar right now to talk about your new curriculum that you wrote, and you're feeling nervous, but really you're actually feeling excited. You know, that there's all these intricacies of emotions, and then I think it's really important that our students are really aware of that. So we created our version of the feeling wheel, and that we use that in some of our lessons in this curriculum as well. But if you want that I feel wheel, we do have it available on the website. You can see the link on the screen. It's artclasscreator.com/I-feel. So here are our themes. So we have why art matters. We have a sketchbook unit, so it's not really a theme, sketchbook, but they create their own sketchbook. So they learn the process of stitching. They, you know, they do the folding of the paper and all the things. And then we have what artists see. We have the human experience, identity, community, the natural world, cultures, communication, and the power of voice. So those are our main themes for the unit, for the curriculum. And so I have some pictures kind of show you some of the art that's included, some of the things that they're going to be doing in the curriculum. So this is why art matters. And we really want students to understand, you know, why do we look at works of art? Why do we make works of art? What are they for in this world? And so this first unit really creates a good foundation in that. In Unit 2, they make their own sketchbook, and we have videos on how to do it, photos and videos of how to create the sketchbooks if you've never done that before. And you don't have to, it's one of those things, is like, you don't have to, you could just buy sketchbooks, but it's a fun process of creating the thing, and it gives you a really buy-in to that book as well. What artists see, so the practice of observation and like hidden meanings in artworks. The human experience, you know, we're thinking about art as a way to reflect how, you know, reflects our human spirit, as Kris was saying at the very beginning of this webinar. And we can use art to connect with the people who are feeling things. We can use it to connect to ourself. We can use it to document the world around us and share that with other people. Art has so many different purposes, and that connecting to the human experience is a really important one. We have connecting to identity. So we have this cool, the feature artwork is this cool digital artwork from China called Playing a Happy Game. You can see she puts herself in there as a child in her Chinese school uniform, and then has this sort of fantastical world around her. And in that one, we talk about, you know, what is your identity? What makes up your identity? It's not just what you look like, but there's a lot more to who you are than just what you look like. Then we have connection to community. We have a really amazing community quilt as our feature artwork for this unit. And the final product that the students make is they do make sort of individual works of art, but then they at the end, they hang them all together and then they connect them with yarn to kind of show the different ways they could connect to all the individuals and the different communities that exist within their school or within their classroom. And how those individual artworks are part of a whole, just like the individual is part of the whole of the community. Then we have connecting to the natural world. So we look at art of nature. And then we have a cultures assignment. So we look at art from other cultures throughout the whole course, but we really want students to dive into understanding what the other art from other cultures, and also what are some of the things we need to be thinking about when studying art from other cultures. You know, it's really easy to put ourselves as over here and the art of other cultures as other, but we want to teach students, you know, why that's problematic and why we need to not other cultures, even though I say other cultures, but you know what I mean, and talk kind of about ethnocentrism and things like that. So there's some activities in there to really dive deep into some of those issues. For one example is there's two quotes, one from, his name just floated away. It's Kenneth something. And he wrote the book Civilizations, and I can't connect it in my head. But anyway, he wrote about the Apollo Belvedere, which is the sculpture on the slide. And then he wrote about it, how it was this god of beauty and light and how wonderful and perfect it all is. And then he wrote about this African mask as it being like ugly and dark and like mystical and all this stuff. But really, and then we see a quote from a artist who makes that type of mask, and they say, no, this is an artwork of joy. This is the dance of creation or something. I don't remember the exact quote, but it's like, oh, okay, we're looking at it from another perspective, and we're judging it based on our own values and beliefs, and that's trouble. So there's some stuff about that they can cover, and then they also do a group research project, and it includes everything that you need. So, you know, the splitting up of the groups and the assigning of the art parts of the world and the rubrics and, you know, everything that you need for a group project to keep it structured, keep it orderly. I was always the one in a group that like did all the work and no one else did. So I'm very aware to like how do you grade so that not everybody is you know, that you're making sure you're grading on how much they actually participate in the project. So anyway, all of that's in there. It's taken from when I was teaching. And so they create their own, they do a presentation, they make a poster about their culture, so then you can hang it out in the halls, and then the other, you know, your admin can see all the cool work that they're doing in art, the research that they're doing, and all of that. So that's in connecting to cultures. And then we have connecting to communication, that art is used to communicate, and whether it's communicating emotions, whether it's trying to convince somebody of something, of, you know, art has a lot of different purposes, and how can art be used as a tool of communication. And then they kind of wrap it all up into the power of voice, and how one person's voice has such power when they make art, and what change they can make on the world, and how they can impact other people. So they look at art that has, from across history, that has been used to make a statement that way. And so the projects are, sorry, I'm gonna talk about the projects in a minute. I got ahead of myself. So each of these units has your lesson plan. These lesson plans are really beefy. I think they're like over 10 pages long each, because, you know, we did give you a lot of different options. They include your national art standards, your vocabulary, your classroom discussion guides with your talking points, artist bios, discussion questions, everything like that. They're available, like that's outside of the lesson plans. You can just print it and have the discussion guide in front of you while you're teaching. And then it has lots of student learning activities, which I'll explain. I'll show you some more examples of those. You've seen the examples in World Mosaic. They're similar in the secondary. They're just, you know, at the secondary level, a little bit deeper in their thinking. And then your theme inspired art project, and it has both a directed project and then or a more structured project, and then a more choice-based option for those of you who like to do the choice-based. Then we have project planning guides for the students so they can fill them out as they think about their ideas, sketch out their ideas, reflect on what they're going to make. Project planning guides, reflection activities, and then lots of additional resources, other artworks that fit the theme that we, so there's so much art that we wanted to include, but we couldn't for some reason or other because we didn't have the permission to use it or whatever it was. And so we put it in a list. Everything we really wanted to include, but we couldn't, we added it on the list. So at least, you can take it and sub it in if you like to use those as well. So lots of links and resources and things like that too. So here's an example of just something from a PowerPoint. It has these PowerPoints are more beefy than the elementary PowerPoints are. They have more of the group activities in there. We figure that elementary teachers are gonna pick and choose a little bit more and do them in different orders. And then in elementary, having text in a slide often there's not a lot of point to doing that. So, but there's a little bit more text on the slides in your secondary. And then here's some of the example engagement activities. Again, there's a lot more in here, but we have writing poems about the artworks, writing conversations between figures in the artwork, writing from a person's point of view, putting yourself in the position of the people in the artwork. That's always a good one because it gets you out of your head and into your body. Creating a shape poem, so you create a shape and you write your poem in there. Comparing and contrasting, interpreting poetry and song lyrics, drawing activities. There's all sorts of art engagement activities. One of my favorite ones is puzzles about art, where we give them this scenario. There's like 6 different scenarios of, is this art or is this not art? And then they have to kind of work together, figure out their stance, and then we have a full classroom discussion on it. So this one is, if a chimpanzee was given paint and paintbrushes and created an artwork, is that art? And if it is art, who is the artist? So it creates a lot of really good conversation and discussion among the students. And then another one is Call It Driftwood, where a curator picks your curator runs into an artist on the beach, asks to have an artwork for their museum from the artist, and the artist just picks up a piece of driftwood and hands it to them and gives it a title, call it driftwood. Is it art? And would you still hang it in your museum if that happened? And so then you're getting into things like, is it the intention that makes the art? Is it the elements of principles? Is it the fact that it's a physical thing? Is it the fact that it was made by some person? Does it have to be a person? All these are things really fun to discuss. And it's not just like really the question of what is art doesn't matter in the end, like who cares? But it also, like you're creating a lot of students who are really getting more confident in having a viewpoint and sharing it, and being uncomfortable with being uncertain and not having a right answer. Like that is one of the best things about doing these sorts of activities with works of art, is we are so used to always having an answer that we can't always have an answer to everything. I can pull out my phone and I can get any answer that I want. But when I look at a work of art, especially one that hasn't been written about a lot, it's like, well, all I have is me, and I have that artwork, and I have to figure out what it means to me. So that's a really exciting thing I think about looking at works of art, is we have multitudes of meaning in there. So just here's some examples of what the worksheets and discussion guides and stuff look like. So you can see here on the bottom left is a discussion guide. It has discussion questions. It has key talking points, just kind of the most important things. It has the second page you kind of can't see very well on the slide, but it has information about the artist. And then it has some links to different resources about the artist. And then this is an example of one of the lesson plans. So you can see they're really long. They've got they're really pretty too. So pretty. But yeah, all the different activities that you can do with the work of art. And you don't have to do all of them, but you can kind of pick and choose. But it allows you to really curate your learning experience for your students, however you want to do. And then I'm going to show you some of the projects, and that is it. Okay. So So here are some of our more directed projects. So we have ready-made sculptures, we have hands-on sketchbooks, observation drawings, self-portraits, we have printmaking, sculpture, 3D. So we have a lot of different art projects. And then we have choice-based ones that are more like, we give them sort of a concept, and then the student creates the artwork, you know, however they want. So representing community, exploring journey, incorporating text and imagery to deepen meaning. So we just give them sort of some overall ideas. I apologize, there's a trash truck driving by. I don't know how loud it is, but. And then, you know, we want student work to be varied. We want the student to really have a say in what they create, and they really want them to explore that. So we have a project planning guide where they really think through their ideas. And then we have a reflection sheet for each where that they reflect on their project as well. We want the whole experience to be very thoughtful on the point of view of the student. And then we have reflection. They've got the reflection, but then there's artist statements, verbal written critiques, student curated art shows, collaborative installation. So all sorts of ways to take the final product and then put them together in new ways to deepen the experience. It doesn't just stop when they finish the project, that you can take it and do more with it after that. So the perspectives curriculum is very, very full of really exciting learning, really just super proud of it and what the students can do. So what I wanted to do is just show you really quickly, if I can imagine how to do this without messing it up. I just wanted to show you what it looks like, how it's going to be delivered to you in Nasco.
You are like legit doing all the work, Cindy. You're fabulous.
I had it all ready to go, and then when I had to restart.
So Nasco Educate, as Cindy's bringing this up, Nasco Educate is a K-12 platform that is available by subscription. And so if you are at all interested in having a subscription to Educate, it offers a wide variety of content for educators K through 12, not just art educators, educators for the whole school. The fabulous part about purchasing either World Mosaic or Perspectives is it is housed, or however you say it lives on Nasco Educate. So we load it onto your account on Nasco Educate, but your whole school will have access to Educate. And so you get a $2,500 value for your entire school to utilize Nasco Educate, which has lots and lots of additional content, PD webinars. All of the webinars that you see on Maker Monday live on Nasco Educate. And so when you purchase, all of this content gets put on your account. And Cindy, I'll let you talk about how you can see it and go from there. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, I like to, you know, teachers always kind of like to see what they're getting. I showed you a lot of examples on slides, but it's like, you want to actually see it. And so I just have up on the screen what it looks like. So this is the World Mosaic course. So when you're logged in, you can see it's broken. It's very easy to navigate. It's basically in folders. So you just go kinder through fifth, and we just kind of click on one. Then from there, we can click on our continent, and then it'll have all the files that are available for that lesson. So this one has a lesson plan. It has the PowerPoint. We have the PowerPoints in here in two different ways. One that you can just pull up on your screen and actually show right from here. And then we have one you can download. And then so I encourage you to really, if you're really wanting to dive in and take a look at how this would work and learn more of the intricacies of Nasco Educate, is to schedule a meeting with one of the team at Nasco to really take you in, because there's a lot of really cool functionality, like assigning classes and having your students in here. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on in Nasco Educate. But I just wanted to show you really what kind of looks like, and then you can download them from here and then print them however you want. I'm in Safari, so it looks different, but you just click there and download it. So that's just what it looks like when you buy it. And I want to also show you perspectives too. It looks pretty much the same, but you just click on your unit and then it shows you all the files. Oh, we put all the worksheets in their own because there's, like I said, there's a lot of different worksheets and perspectives. So
Perfect.
all right,
Few
that's all I wanted
questions
to show
that
you.
we did have. When you created the curriculum, did you create it specifically for like art once a week, art every day, and like time period of the classes?
Yeah, so what we were in World Mosaic in elementary, we are operating under the assumption, the basic assumption that most elementary teachers see their kids once a week. And then they see, you know, every student in the school once a week. And so each unit takes about 3 to 5 class periods, and then there's 7, which then will last your whole year. So if you have, maybe you see them twice a week, we have a lot of activities that you can fill your time with. You can, really, you can do everything. It's flexible in that way, but we don't have it written in a way that's like class period 1, step, class period 2, step, because there's so many different variations of what our classroom looks like, depending on where you're at, that we didn't do it that way because we know everyone is going to have to take it and manipulate it to fit their schedule anyway. And then for high school, we were imagining a year-long, see them every day course.
Very good.
About 45, 50 minutes is kind of what we have in our head as a class period.
The variety, I think, like one of the notes that I wrote down is that both of these curricula can be used easily in a virtual setting. Granted, not every single piece it is usable, but a wide variety is. And obviously that counts for hybrid. And then obviously in the classroom as well. A lot of activities are centered around no materials, and that is coming from Nasco Education. We sell art materials for a living, so we're even working on some kits and some great things coming up to partner with these. But it really meets the need that you're at right now. And the nice part is in purchasing it, it's not like you have to say, you can say I'm purchasing this for virtual, but the great news is it doesn't become extinct when you go back into the classroom. Now you have this full long curriculum, and you can use it if you go back to school, and if for some reason you go back to virtual, it's there for you. I also love that there's tons of support within the curriculum, but also too outside of the curriculum in terms of Nasco has me, Kris Bakke, and I'm always happy to help anybody that has questions or concerns. I am as smart as the nearest expert to me, which is Cindy and staff. And so together, there's probably not a question that we're not going to be able to answer. And then it will also help us to continue to improve and work with you on that. Another question that we had was, oh, I wrote it down so I didn't miss. No, I guess I didn't. I've been answering them along the way and wanting to make sure that I've answered them correctly. Somebody did ask about, like, do you have to do all the lessons, or do you have to do them the exact way with the exact materials? They're not cookie cutter, that's for sure. And I think that while some of the lessons will give suggested materials and directions on how to do it, because lots of people want that, if you know of a substitution, if you know of a way to cut a corner or to make it a little bit differently, I think that's good. Like, I mean, in fact, we would love to hear, as people start to utilize this curriculum, some of the variations that you come up with. You know, whether it's adaptation for special education. There's always opportunity there. We do know of some fantastic folks that do special education, so we can make some of those connections. But the differentiation is phenomenal. It is 4 o'clock, and I know that we've done a pretty good job of answering questions. If there's anything that we have left unanswered, in about an hour from now, you will get a follow-up email. It's going to have a PD certificate that you can download so that you can get professional development credit for this. It will also have the link to this recording and a survey. And in that survey, it says, are there any questions that you have? So you can, if you think of one, or if one wasn't answered, feel free to type that in. What I would really encourage you though, is if you think that you're interested in this, contact us. We are including the regional account manager handout. If you want to reach out to one of the account manager in your area, or by all means, reach out to me, Bakke at nascoeducation.com. You can respond right to the email, the follow-up email, and I will get it, because we'll take a deeper dive with you, and you can invite your principal, your curriculum supervisor, other teachers in the district, and we are happy to go through this and be a little bit more interactive. This was sort of a general overview, and it was fantastic. So thank you so much for that, Cindy. And honestly, Cindy, I can't thank you enough. This has been a dream come true. Lots of questions on price. And we have priced both of these curricula at $1,000 each. And so that $1,000 is a site-based fee. It's a subscription, a site-based fee. It includes Nasco Educate, which is in and of itself for a site, $2,500. And you might say, well, why would you give me more than what I'm paying? It's because Educate was created for these paid subscriptions, so that we had a platform for them, but we wanted to do more, and we put so much content and so many webinars and PDs and blogs and Class X interview. So it almost became a subscription of its own, but it was really intended for this purpose. So when you purchase that Art Class Curator, whether it's World Mosaic or Perspectives or both, you get the Educate at no additional charge. And so again, there's so much to Nasco Educate along with these two curriculum that if you have questions, ask for a little bit more of a presentation, or just ask, you know, some of those questions via email, and we absolutely will reach out to you on any level that we can. But it's exciting stuff, and I think that at a time when you have worked so hard, and when there's so many things that you have had to learn for technology and how to engage students in a virtual setting, this is a great way to give you some of your time and energy and resources back in a beautiful curriculum. So we hope you're excited about it, and we hope that we can answer any questions. Cindy, thank you and your team for all the hard work that you've put in, and your willingness to stay partnering with us as teachers purchase this and utilize it, and anything that we need to do to improve and add and make better. I know that you're right there with us. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure from day one.
You did all the heavy lifting, and for that, I'm grateful. I got to show up in my super exciting t-shirt, and just, again, I just continue to write so many amazing notes, and it teaches me something new every time I listen to it. So thank you for that. Everybody, keep staying safe. be happy, and keep teaching art.